Hello, everyone. Good evening. This is the Black Diamond Call for Monday, the 26th of June, 2017. I am John Lavinia, your host, as I am each week here on the Black Diamond Call. And very excited about our new people. We do have a bunch of new people who have just recently gotten started here with Digital Altitude. And regardless of what team you're on or what country you're from or what time zone you're in, I am so glad to share the message of all the things that are possible here with your online business. And of course, here on the Black Diamond Call, where we let loose each week and talk about things that have gotten us to the top. And in this case, I'm going to be my own guest speaker tonight. I was actually attempting to nail down one guy, one of our top earners here, who I've not heard back from yet today. He must be out living the lifestyle. But we are going to be having lots of different people that come out on this call and all of our calls, as you know, to share their insights. And of course, this call is similar in that way, but different in the way that we tend to not pull any punches on this call. We just kind of say it the way it is, and we do open it up at the end for questions and comments. So if you are tuning in live, we will have that session at the end. But essentially, the Black Diamond Call, for any of our new members here, is where we get to hear about the ideas and strategies that got us to the top, rather unfiltered. And this is something that I've been doing in various formats since 2003. So this is a bit of a tradition. So anyway, I want to welcome everybody. The rules are take what you like and leave the rest. You're going to hear my opinion on stuff, see how this works into your life and into your business, see how it's usable for you. And, if it's not usable for you, then go use something else. But do something. That's the point, is do something with this data. Do something with this information. And of course, as I always say, if I say anything that offends you, you'll get over it. That's just our disclaimer. So that being said, we're going to get into our topic tonight. Let me welcome our guest speaker. Tonight we got John Lavinia. Hooray. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Okay, cool. So, so what I'm talking about tonight is something that I heard a guy named Albert Gray talk about back in the 50s. Actually, I wasn't around in the 50s, at least not as John Lavinia. I was born in 1970, but I got a transcript of a speech that took place back in the 1950s. This was a guy named Albert E.N. Gray, who was a big shot in the Prudential Insurance Company. And he gave a speech called The Common Denominator of Success. Some of you may have heard of this. If you're here with me live and you've heard of this before, go ahead and type in the chat roll so I know how many of you are already exposed to this. And, if not, then I'm going to give you the full dissertation. But there's one piece of this speech that I wanted to focus on tonight. Anybody ever heard of this? Albert E.N. Gray and his famous, at least famous at the time, speech about the common denominator of success. I see no takers. Nobody. Let's see here. No. Okay. Dominic says no. Robert says no. The answer is no. Okay. So we're going to take it from the top on this. This is fun. I've referenced this speech before, but I'm going to give you, I suppose, a review for any of you who might be listening on the podcast. You've heard me reference this before. And then for all of our people joining us here live who have never heard about this, this is pretty damn spectacular, what this guy talked about. And I'm going to paraphrase. I'm not going to read from the transcript, although I suppose I could, but I've read it enough to know exactly where I want to go with this and the most vital points that I've taken from it. Anyway, he was talking to this group of insurance people about the common denominator of success. He said that he wanted to understand if there was a common denominator of success, and it would have to be universally applicable. In other words, it would have to apply to all people who have ever been successful at anything, not just what we're doing here with selling insurance and whatever. But it has to, this has to be more like a law, not just like some arbitrarily applicable thing that may or may not work depending on your circumstances. He wanted something solid. And he said, because that's what I was looking for, that's what I found. Because after all, the big thing in that world and also in our world, in direct sales, the big factor that people who are team leaders, sales managers, things like that, the big factor is people. And I think a lot of times in modern times, certainly with the advent of the internet and various forms of online media and such, people sometimes don't really grasp the necessity to be a good communicator, to be someone who can manage a team, who can influence people to take action. This is sort of a play off of what we did this morning in our wake-up call. But I'm going to go a bit deeper into some, I think, very usable philosophy here. So anyway, he said, that's what I was looking for. That's what I found, right? Understanding how people operate and why there's a small percentage of people in the organization who are excelling, and then there is the rank and file. Okay, so I want to know, is there a common denominator of success here? And he said there is. And here it is, everyone. Here it is. And he rocked the room when he said this. He said, common denominator of success that is true for all people who have ever been successful at anything is that successful people are in the habit of doing things that failures don't like to do. That's what he said. Successful people have formed the habit of doing things that failures don't like to do. And he went on. He said, it's not like these successful people, these few successful people are, somehow lucky, that they've, that they were just blessed with an affinity for doing distasteful things that people don't like to do. Other people, these failures, these unlucky people, oh, if only they like doing these things that the successful people like doing, then they would be successful too. How unfortunate. Okay. And so he said, no, it's not that they're lucky. By the way, can you guys still hear me? I'm seeing a bit of chatter in the chat roll. People asking if the call has started. Can somebody type in the chat roll, make sure that we're still live, that we haven't collapsed. Robert says yes. Anonymous says yes. Okay, very good. I'm assuming that's yes to me, the question that I just posed to the group. So, he was saying it's not like the successful people are lucky that they just like doing these things. They don't like doing them either. Like in that world, there was a lot of cold calling going on. Now, does anyone here enjoy cold calling? If you do, we'll have you out. You can host a call and you can talk all about that. Actually, that's why we're in marketing. I would say everyone is because we're more interested in talking to people who are inbound, raising their hand and saying, "Oh, I want more information. I'm answering an advertisement. I'm going to chase you now. I want you to give me information rather than you chasing me all around." But that was the world that these people were in, was one of cold calling. Dialing 200 cold prospects per day, or cold public. Basically, they weren't even prospects. They barely qualified as leads. Grab the white pages, I suppose. Actually, I've seen people do that. I've seen people grab the white pages. Evelyn's saying, I can hear but can't see the screen. There's nothing to see, Evelyn. This is an audio broadcast today. So Wednesday nights, we have our On the Rise webinars where you get a video, and also Tuesdays on our Basecamp webinar. This is just me running my mouth. I suppose I could turn my camera on, but I need a shave. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to subject you all to that. It's bad enough I subject my coaching students to that. Hey, that's one of the aspects of the online marketing lifestyle, shaving optional. Anyway, bathing too. I have done that though. So back to our point. He was talking about how these successful people don't like doing these things, right? And my tangent was that we don't have to do cold calling. Thankfully, I probably wouldn't be in a business like this if I had to do cold calling. We know more about direct response advertising now, right? That's where someone says, yes, here's my email address, give me more information. Show me the video, show me the free report, give me a trial membership, give me some coaching, do something for me. I'm raising my hand here. So we don't have to cold call. Anyway, these people were doing a lot of stuff they didn't like to do. And his point was that successful people have formed the habit of doing these things even though they don't like doing them. Even though they don't like doing them. Why? Why would they do that? And he said the reason why is because they subordinate their preferences about pleasing methods or unpleasing methods. They subordinate that for pleasing results. Pleasing results are higher in the hierarchy of importances to these successful people. They are higher than whether or not they're enjoying the methods. Right? Think about that. So I want my goal. I've got this goal, you see, and the goal is to make $1 million, buy a Lamborghini, to do this and that and such, and travel the world and whatever your goals happen to be. And I am now willing to exchange my service, my product, my opportunity for the receipt of money in exchange for these benefits that I'm going to offer to the marketplace. Now, the methods that I must impinge on the marketplace, in the case of what those people were doing, a lot of cold calling, okay, the methods that I must use to impinge on the marketplace and to increase the demand for what I have a supply of here, well, those methods are second to the future result, which I'm going to guarantee myself right now that I'm going to get that future result. I'm going to go ahead and take care of business. Oh, I don't like doing those things. Well, you know what? Nobody else likes doing those either. So, you know what? Let me do those things. Let me do those things. Let me pick up the phone. Let me, in our case, let me learn online marketing. Let me do email follow-ups. Let me go ahead and create ad campaigns and maybe videos and content. Some people like to blog. Some people like, search engine optimization. There's lots of different things you could do, and they all work. The point is that you're going to do them, and that you have an interest in them, which means you've got an aptitude for that. This is something I wrote about in my first book. Interest renders aptitude. If you weren't interested, you wouldn't be here, right? If you weren't interested in the spoils of success, well, then you wouldn't be in a program that just reeks of success, like what we've got here, right? There's a lot of things you could do as a dilettante, as a weekender, as a hobbyist, which do not have nearly the magnitude of the results that we can have with something like what we've got here. Okay, so you opted for this. You obviously have an interest in this online marketing lifestyle and being a successful entrepreneur. Okay, and because you've got an interest in that, you've got an inborn aptitude to do that, right? You would not have an interest in something you didn't have an aptitude for. For example, and this is another example I gave in my first book, trigonometry. I dropped out of trigonometry when I was in high school. Why? I didn't have an aptitude for it. I didn't like it. And I've got a high IQ, but my goodness, I'm not interested in this. Like, when am I going to use this? When am I going to possibly use this? I'm not going to be doing trigonometry. I'm a bit of a wordsmith. I was even back then too. I was very much into language and communication, and didn't know it at the time, but sales, communicating with people, and understanding how the mind works, how my mind works. And this was kind of out of necessity too. I mean, I had an interest and an aptitude for that sort of thing because my life wasn't working, guys. I don't know how many of you know my story, but I was a troubled youth running the streets in New Jersey. My life was a wreck. I had to start learning something about the mind and how we get results and why I'm so pathetic, right? I had to learn about that stuff out of necessity. And so I was interested in it, and therefore I had an aptitude for it. Trigonometry, not so much, right? And guess what? Not interested, not good at it, dropped the class, done. Okay, other people, oh, they love it. What other kind of stuff do people love, right? Accounting. I was just having this conversation with my wife just today, right? How I can practice work avoidance when it comes to things like accounting. Now, we've got an accountant, we got people that do the high-level stuff. But when it comes to things like auditing, statements and things that standard business practice kind of stuff, oh my goodness, can I practice avoidance on that? Hey, I gotta feed the fish, and I think the dog needs to go out, and oh, I didn't get the mail yet today, and you get how this goes, right? So I could do that. I could do that all day. I don't like it. I just don't like it. Now, some things we got to do. Give you another example, going to the gym, right, or doing some sort of exercise, right, in our online marketing world, and in fact in our modern life, it's a bit sedentary, right? People sit around, they stare at a computer, they watch TV, they play with their phone, they ride the bus, they're not walking, they're not being chased by saber-toothed cats. They're not being chased and running for their life and defending their life 3 times a day because it's being threatened. Right? The human body was meant to do stuff, to work, right? To do things, to chop wood, carry water, and fight saber-toothed cats, right? That's what we were designed to do, and we've gotten soft. Okay, so there are some people who do the very distasteful thing of inflicting pain upon themselves with exercise equipment, and they've done it to the point where they've developed a habit of doing this. Failures don't like to do this, right? But guess what? Physically fit people don't like to do it either. Am I making a point? Albert Gray made the point 50-something years ago. He said successful people have developed a habit of doing things that failures don't like to do. And they do these things even though they don't like them because they subordinate pleasing methods for pleasing results. That's why we do these things. Now, you've already got a clue on what things you can and should be doing by the virtue of the fact that you're here in this environment, in this community. Okay, there are other people who are going to get really good and form, very resourceful habits in areas that you do not need to become, well adjusted to or habitually successful at, like trigonometry, like accounting, right? Things like that. And I know some of you have more of a mathematical mind, certainly than me. But the things that you got to get good at are things that you're going to learn and are learning in the curriculum. Things like Base, Rise, Ascend, Peak, Apex, Social Media Marketing University, community webinars and such like we do on Wednesday nights with On the Rise. So all that stuff, right? So these are pointers, right? Pointing you at the things that you could get good at. Now you're not going to do all of them, but you're going to get really good at something. Case in point, Jason Stone, who I mentioned this morning, okay? $1 million, not just producer, but $1 million commission earner right here inside the Digital Altitude online business system. And he's gotten really good, among the best in the world, maybe the best in the world at Instagram marketing. And he's got trainings. You can go watch his trainings and all this. And he is an authority on that. Does he know anything about blogging? I think not. Maybe he does. We get him on this call maybe next week. He can talk more about his blogging experience. But as far as I know, no. Does he know anything about podcasting? No. In fact, the couple of times that we've had Jason on stage and on calls like this, he's been he's not an entertainer per se, right? Very knowledgeable with what he does, but he's not he's not really a performer, so to speak. And fine, you don't have to get good at everything, right? There are professional talkers in the community, like me. I can be the wordsmith. That's fine. But the idea here is that we get good at something. If I made a point, okay, good. So we're going to move on from that. Now, where I wanted to go with this is another point that Albert Gray made in that speech that I think is profound, just profound. And it's good for you to take and put to use, whether we're just talking about you just got started and you're attempting to be focused and effective and accelerate your progress, or you've got 1,000 people on your team and you're looking to induce duplication and leverage through other productive people who are actually doing it, right? So the next point that he made, if we've covered this one, I think thoroughly. Okay, does everybody get it? Everybody gets the point now. You're going to develop habits that are resourceful, that you may not like to do, but you're going to do them anyway. You're going to do them to the point where you actually develop a habit of doing them. We don't have to belabor the decision anymore. Like, oh, should I do the accounting? Should I not do the accounting? Oh, should I go to the gym? Should I not go to the gym? Right? You're going to get to the point where that decision's already made. There's no time spent in making that decision anymore. The decision's already made. You've developed a habit. You don't even think about that decision anymore. Okay, so that's where we're going with this, and that is what successful people do, according to Albert Gray. That is the common denominator of success. Develop the habit of doing things that failures don't like to do. He goes on. He talks about all you sales managers, all you marketing team leaders who are in a slump. Okay, apparently sales has been cyclical for a long time. It's not like every day is a constant up stat, right? We got up stats, we got down stats, we got trends. Right? These are statistics that we can look at, whether we're talking about how many leads you're bringing in, how many sales you've made, trial memberships, Rise, Ascend, Peak, Apex. There's statistics for all this stuff. And you can and should know them, right? If you're brand new, the first statistic would be leads. How many leads have you generated this day, this week, this month, right? That's a good metric for you to understand. Okay, and so then you can see trends, up trends and down trends, and that's all just very simple statistics. And so what he said is, now all you sales managers here, if you're experiencing a slump, like if your team is not producing to the extent that you think they should. He said, don't precipitate competition. You're not going to bludgeon people or get them to work by force or by creating some sort of a competitive environment where it's one versus the other. I mean, sales contests are good, and prizes and all that. We do that here in DA. That's very nice. Last one, Michael Force gave away Tesla and motorcycles and all this other great stuff. Very nice. Okay, so that's fun. Games are good. Okay, we like games. We like playing games, don't we? Yeah, of course. So we can have games, but to get people out of a slump, he said, here's what you do: get them refocused on purpose. If your mission is to increase production, right, as the team leader, the sales manager, the organizational exec, whatever, get people refocused on their purpose. Why are we here, everybody? That's the question. Why are we here? And if people are moping around, hanging out at the water cooler, practicing work avoidance, okay, failing to develop resourceful habits because they don't like doing those things, and there's always something, more compelling or so-called urgent, that they could be doing instead of, doing what they, income-producing activities and such. The thing to do to get out of a slump is to refocus on purpose and to re-indoctrinate and re-enroll people into that purpose, and then production will take care of itself. And this is the original idea I wanted to go here with tonight, but since none of you have heard this speech before, by the way, you can download a transcript of it. Just, I guess, Google Albert E. N. Gray, G-R-A-Y, Albert E. N. Gray, and the speech was The Common Denominator of Success. And you can download a transcript. That's how I got it, right? I mean, we got the internet now, this internet thingy. We can find stuff. And, but this whole idea of getting out of a slump. Okay, now, if you're brand new and you're just starting your marketing, then you don't need to get out of a slump, okay? You are in a state of what we would call non-existence as far as marketing stats are concerned. Non-existent. So your main mission now is to start marketing. In other words, to set up some communication lines or channels and to get in communication with people, make yourself known in the marketplace. Yes, that is your first order of business. And prepare to deliver. That's it. That's what you want to do. You want to prepare to deliver. And who are you going to deliver to? These people you are making yourself known to. Right? So this is the first stage of climbing out of this non-existent state as you relate to the marketplace, or as the marketplace relates to you. Bob who? I have no idea. Karen's asking, what's the book's title? It's not a book, Karen. It's just a transcript of a speech. It was called The Common Denominator of Success by Albert E. N. Gray. And that was the 1950s. Anyway, so you don't have to get out of a slump. However, you still have to start forming the habits of doing things that failures don't like to do. What are these habits? Well, again, we've got pointers. We've got things that point to you to these habits. Okay, and when you start considering, and if you're just like right now, you're just going through training, and you're starting to consider, what methods would I like to employ? What would I like to do in terms of my marketing? When you start considering these things, you'll find that there's one or two things that you feel you've got a natural tendency for, a proclivity is what the word would be, a proclivity for doing these things. Okay, we're going to expand our vocabulary tonight. I've got a proclivity for video marketing. I just love to run my mouth in front of a video camera. Man, I turn on my iPhone and it is just effortless, right? I can just give me a mic and a camera lens, and man, oh man, I am ready to create some content. Now, does that sound like you? Well, great. Then go through the training on video marketing, which you'll find in your Aspire system. Of course, you must have already been through all the coaching, the 18 steps, the business plans, and all that. Okay, and then you get into that, because that's more of the doing part of the business. But everything that leads up to that, right? If you're brand new here, you're going through the Aspire steps. You're in the right place. That's great. We're working on foundational stuff. Being, right? Who are you in this whole repertoire? Who are you in this whole organization here? That's what we got to define first. The great philosopher Goethe said one must be something in order to do something. So that's fine. We're going to start with who you are and what you want, right? And then from there, it sounds like a simple question. Excuse me. Sounds like a simple question. What do you want? It's actually a very profound question. A lot of people have a hard time coming up with solid answers to that. So we got to make sure we know what you want. You got to make sure that you know what you want. And so that once we've done that, okay, then we can get into what do we do to get what we want. But the point here is that you're going to have a proclivity for something. Okay, and it may or may not be video. Maybe that doesn't sound like you. Oh my goodness, me talking to a camera. What am I going to talk about? I don't know. Do I look like an idiot? Is my makeup right? And my makeup's always right, by the way, just in case you're wondering. But I don't know. This sounds terrible. I'd much rather tweet. I can do like 15 tweets a day. My goodness, I can tweet up the world. I can tweet this and that. Obviously, I don't know anything about Twitter. I have an account. I think I logged into it last year or the year before, but obviously I'm not a tweeter. Okay, I do not have a proclivity for tweeting 100 characters or whatever it is, and giving links ad infinitum. Other people love doing that stuff, right? Keep the conversation brief, right? 128 characters or something, and 140, something like that. You'll learn brevity doing that. Not for the professional talker, not for the author, right? Okay, now I'm going to write. Okay, so when I do that, that's like an event. That's an event. Okay, that's not me tweeting. Okay, that's an event. So different strokes, right, for different people. The point is to pick something and to do it to the extent where you form a habit. People who are professional Twitter marketers, they're not tweeting once a week. Okay. In fact, we've got some stuff on Twitter here inside DA. You can learn about that, certainly through Social Media Marketing University as well, and which all of our RISE members have access to. Okay, so if you got RISE and you've been through all the steps, you get free access to that. That's, by the way, for those of you who are brand new and don't even know what that is, who don't have your RISE program yet, oh my goodness, that is college-accredited social media consultancy training. This is high-end. Okay, so if you're interested in college credits, which you may or may not be interested in, you get those too. Right, so that's that program, and they've never aligned with a direct sales company before until Digital Altitude. Right, that's certainly they've had plenty of offers, but clearly the significance and the substance of what we've got here with DA has caused that strategic alignment to happen for the first time ever. Anyway, back to our point. You're gonna develop some habits of effectiveness. And it's going to be not an arduous thing, and you don't necessarily like tweeting, but you feel an inclination towards tweeting or video or blogging or whatever, okay, or doing banner ads or whatever you're feeling an interest in, and so you're going to have to go through the learning curve of doing that and doing it more effectively, right? You'll learn from other people. You'll see best practices of people, like I mentioned, Jason, people on Instagram. Here's what he does. Here's his best practices. And then you go and you implement with your own brand, your own flavor on that. And then ultimately you become an authority in that area. And then you come out on the Wednesday night webinar and demonstrate how you do it and all that. But does that make you special or something? Because now you're an expert in some area because you've simply chosen to develop an effective habit? I don't know. Is that special? Well, it's a small percentage of people that do it. The average person doesn't do that. The average failure, right? Think about this. Average, by definition, is unremarkable. We're here to get remarkable results. So don't be average. Be anything but that. Be remarkable, right? Be not average. And that will occur as you're somehow special. You're special. And people will put you on a pedestal, whether you like it or not. And but all you really did was have some integrity and do what you said you were going to do. Pick a method, get good at it to the point where you've developed a habit, and now you're an authority in that area. And by the way, this does not have to take a long time. It's not like there's so much competition that you're going to have this uphill climb. First of all, you're in a business that requires the human touch. I relayed this a little bit earlier today on the wake-up call. You've got an opportunity here, which reveals the glaringly obvious fact that you are needed. If you were not needed, there would be no opportunity here for you. So there's something about an individual or a personal touch that is necessary in this whole marketing, top-tier direct sales world, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't be needed. There'd be no opportunity here for you. People could just go to the store and do it, buy it, whatever. They don't need you, okay? But you're needed. So you make a decision to become an authority in some method. Certainly, that's going to be your unique brand that will emerge from that. That's not something that can be easily copied, right? In fact, Ralph Waldo Emerson, another great philosopher, said, envy is ignorance, imitation is suicide. So there are people, probably right now, there are people who are trying to imitate top earners in this or other programs and attempting to, I'm sure there are people right now who are attempting to be John Lavenio, right? And to write like I do and to speak like I do and do the things that I do. And, well, I've heard it before. I've heard it from people who said, you know what, I just dropped the act. I stopped pretending and I started being myself, and man, things started opening up. I thought I wanted to be, just like so-and-so or just like you, John. And then I realized, my audience is different. And they're really, liking my stuff. But for as long as I was pretending, my goodness, I was killing myself. And it was arduous and it was hard and it didn't work. It sucked. Okay, now I'm being myself and I'm attracting the ideal target audience, right? So consider that. Consider that. You've got something unique and that can't be competed with directly if you develop it, right? If you reach, right? Reach for your goal and reach into the marketplace to fulfill that goal through whatever communication channels that you choose to develop habits of effectiveness with. So right there's a key. Okay, back to the original point, successful people are in the habit of doing things that failures don't like to do. And the secondary point, actually the tertiary point, the secondary point was we don't like doing them anyway, we just do them anyway. We don't like doing them either, we just do them anyway. The third point, and the one that I'm focused on here, is focusing on your purpose. So, and to that end, if you're brand new here, your purpose should be pretty fresh in your mind. Now, maybe you're just discovering that. Maybe you've just met people who, for the first time, are asking you, what do you want? That big question, right? What do you want? What is your goal? And for the first time, you're experiencing communication with somebody who is not antagonistic to that goal or is going to invalidate those goals and purposes because they feel threatened by you. I mean, who are you to make $10,000, $20,000 a month? No, we're here to validate that. Please, go make a pile of money. Go make $1 million a month, please. Right? Does your success story help all of us? Absolutely it does. Does it help the person who right now is working a job and they're just wondering if success is even possible? I'll tell you what, my friends, you'll never help the poor by being one of them. Go make a pile of money. Go make a spectacle of yourself. Please. Right? Everyone here is going to validate and endorse your goals, your purposes, and that may be something new for you, especially if you've been in an environment which has been chronically antagonistic to your goals, right? People feeling threatened by you reaching above mediocrity. How dare you make us all look bad like that, not good enough for you or something. People, what people tend to do is they tend to read their autobiography into other people's lives, right? So like because you've got motivation, right, and they don't, you're breaking the social agreement which they've gone into agreement with, and you apparently are disagreeing with, and that agreement is that we can all be mediocre together and have this tacit consent, which means an unspoken agreement here, where I won't hold you to account for your mediocrity as long as you don't hold me to account for mine. And here you go, climbing out of the crab bucket, right? Like the proverbial crabs in the bucket. Anybody who's never seen crabs in a bucket, I grew up on the East Coast. We used to pull crabs out of the bay, Barnegat Bay in New Jersey. We'd go get crabs. And, the kind of crabs you eat. and we would get them and put them in a bucket, and like a bushel, like a wooden or wicker bushel, and they could climb out. You see, but if you have one, they can climb out. But if you got more than one in there, so you got to have at least two, and then they claw onto each other and they pull themselves back in. I would cover them anyway because I have seen a crab bite somebody, and it's a bloody mess. But the the idea here is that the whole crabs in the bucket metaphor. You're climbing out of the bucket. You're breaking the social norms, and we're endorsing that. I'm endorsing that right now. I'm here to validate your goals and tell you, yes, let's get that done. In fact, can I help? Can I help you do that? Can we all help you do that? My goodness, why do we host these calls every day, except on weekends, right? Why do we do this, right? Is it because I like to hear myself talk? Sometimes, I guess I do, but talk to myself sometimes. But no, I like to deliver value in the marketplace, and I've developed a habit of doing that. This is just my communication channel to do that as it relates to this community. Okay, so what can you do? What can you do? Do it based on purpose. There's the point Albert Gray was making. So you got these people walking around in a slump. Their production is down. Okay, it's not time to crack the whip. It's time to rally the troops and say, ladies and gentlemen, why are we here? And I want you to think about this as it relates to this particular opportunity. Why are we here? Are you here to make money? Yes, of course you're here to make money. That's fine. And I know we can go on a philosophical tangent here where we can talk about, we're providing service, and, the main focus of your goals shouldn't be the money. And yes, I get all that. And as a person who has studied philosophy for 30 years, I could talk ad infinitum about that. But unapologetically, yes, we're here to make money, of course. But the route to getting to the money has to be the purpose. Now, there's a couple of purposes that you could put your attention on. One, I would say, would be internal, and one would be external. Internal to you and external to not you. The internal one would be the answer to the question, what do you want? And now we've identified goals, and now we've identified, in this case, experiences that you want to have. I want to have the experience of owning and driving the BMW 7 Series, black with gray leather and, the wood steering wheel and blah, 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 whatever you want, okay? So that would be a goal, and that is a milestone on the route to you being purposeful and living the lifestyle that you choose to live for yourself, your family, right? So that's just one experience that you could have. Okay, now, does that require money? Here's where we get into the make money part. Yes, guess what? It requires money. Auto manufacturers and dealers accept money in exchange for you having the experience of owning and driving this car. So again, unapologetically, we're going to make some money. So that is also a purposeful thing. Driving the car is a purposeful thing. Okay, you're here to enjoy life, right? That's a purposeful thing. You're here to have the experience, a deliberately chosen experience, self-determined by you, and not dictated by some corporate agenda or boss or whatever, right? You get to have goals and fulfill those goals. That is a very purposeful thing, okay? And yes, money is a part of that. That's what we use to exchange for products and services in the marketplace, okay? So that's all very nice, very purposeful. The external or exterior purpose can and should be something that does, in fact, empower others. Now, here's the big question, and this is where I think a lot of people get tripped up. You getting the BMW or the Maserati or whatever you want, right, or having the experience of, the abundant lifestyle, the nice house, the trips, the vacations, whatever you want to experience, does that serve the marketplace? Yes or no? In fact, you could type in the chat roll, does that serve the marketplace? You being successful, you driving Lamborghinis, does that serve others who are not you? Yes or no? Nobody's answering. It's like a trick question. A trick question here. Karen says, no, that satisfies me. Teresa, Karen, no. Lynn, yes, somewhat. Stephanie, yes. Okay, so we got 50-50 split here. Rebecca, yes. All right, the scales are tilting toward yes. Okay, here's where we're going to go. Okay, yes, overwhelming yeses now. Okay, here's where we're going with this. The answer is yes, and here's why. Oh, I'm just some guy working a job. I don't know. I mean, it sucks and all, but it's my lot in life. And I'm just like all these other people. There's the tacit consent again, right? Just like all these other people who know their limitations. I'm just going to stay in line like a good cow on the pasture and wait for the slaughter. Okay? And I'm going to drive my broke mobile home after work, and I'm going to go watch TV. But what happened today? What happened today, I was sitting at this traffic light, and I saw this rich bastard in their BMW, and they waved at me. They seemed happy. I looked at them in judgment, and they just kind of, looked back, peace symbol, hey, hope you're having a great day, whatever. Maybe rich people aren't all bad. Maybe this person knows something. And, I saw their personalized license plate, which had, this thing on it. I wonder if there's a .com with that. And they go to the .com and they see your, and I'm just making this up as I go. I don't know that you got a personalized license plate with your website on it. But my goodness, people paper up their cars with all these stickers and stuff. I don't, but some people do. You can advertise, right? In a company vehicle, right? You got to have, you can have your, your company branding all over it if you like. What was the one that was very popular for a while? Lose weight now, ask me how, something like that. So, so now you've just impinged on someone. You didn't even expect to do it, but you just showed up as an example, and this was a very thin one, okay? But you just showed up as an example of not only abundance, but of, perhaps accessibility. But maybe I could have that too. And then right there, as soon as you demonstrate an example of someone, having the experience that another person wants to have but has been denying themselves. Keep in mind, there's no victims here, only volunteers. They've been denying themselves that experience because they've been in a state of agreement with some corporate agenda and the lack and limitation that is commonplace and omnipresent in their work environment. Well, now you just showed up and induced some disagreement with that. Have you not served them? You have. Now, they may or may not get in communication with you or find your website or whatever. Maybe the car thing was a bad example. Maybe you're wearing the nice wristwatch and you're in the store and the person comments and you're friendly, you're amicable, and you say, hey, by the way, go check out, such and such.com. That's how I monetize, my life, and buy nice wristwatches like this or Gucci bags or whatever, right? Unapologetically. Now, I'm not saying you need to be ostentatious and flash around, hey, look at my Lamborghini, look at my Rolex, look at my this, look at my that. I know people like that, and it gets a little bit obnoxious, but it's not just about the stuff, right? It's about you being attractive to people. Are nice cars attractive to people? Yes, we pay more for them. Are nice experiences that you have? You're posting the pictures of the exotic trip to Dominican Republic, like we just went to, or wherever, right? You're living the online marketing lifestyle. You're posting that on Facebook. Okay, is that something you need to apologize for, or is that something that will attract other people who are at least hopeful that something like that could exist? My goodness, I mentioned Jason Stone earlier. His whole Instagram presence is that, right? Millionaire mentor. Look at the Lamborghini. Look at the lifestyle. Inspiring quotes, palm trees, coconuts, all that. So does that inspire people? Yes, it does. They're in their cubicle, man. They're doing the Dilbert thing. And if they see that and start to have at least some hope that maybe that could be possible for them too, now you've just done a service. Now you've just given the crab in the bucket the idea that there's something outside of the bucket and that it is real. And it could be real for them. Now, how many examples do we need to start to espouse the idea that this could be available for me too? I can tell you most people need example after example after example after example because they're so indoctrinated into their current known condition, which they believe is the cause. Conditions and circumstances are the cause. I'm not the cause. No, my job, my spouse, my education, my location physically and the planet, my luck or lack of luck, my current funds or lack of funds, what I have or don't have. That's in control. Not me. I'm not in control. I don't get to make these choices. I have to. People go through their life with have tos. Have tos. How does that feel? This is called modern day slavery, my friends, and to some degree you were born into it. I don't want to get on the political rant with unapportioned taxation and things like that, but as an entrepreneur, I'm sensitive to these things, and as a freedom-loving American and all that. But the idea that you can now be cause in someone else's life who's looking around outside of themselves for causes, right? They're not responsible. They're just a victim. But now you could be cause for someone to look outside of themselves and see a new possibility. Is that not service that you're providing? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Now, is it not part of your purpose, or one of your purposes, the external, the exterior one, to empower others to get what they want? I mean, if you're marketing an income opportunity, are you not in the business of empowering others to get what they want? Why the hell else would you be here? That's what you're here to do, to demonstrate the possibilities that are available to others and to indoctrinate them into what actions they could take if they're actually serious about having those experiences themselves. That's what you're here to do. I see Tim mentioning the Matrix movie. Yes, to offer the red pill. Okay, you want to see reality? You want to see what's really going on here? Absolutely. Here we go. Okay, now I'm not saying it's going to be necessarily a comfortable ride. Albert Gray covered that, right? We're in the habit of doing things failures don't like to do. Nobody likes doing these things, right? I want to go play video games, man. I want to go hang out and do whatever I do. But no, I'm going to learn marketing. I'm going to do this stuff. Why? Because my goals are more important. And because somebody like you demonstrated to me by your example that if I got off my ass and did something, that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, I could actually have a better experience. Because look at your experience. Thank you for your example. Thank you. Thank you to all of you who are demonstrating that success is possible and not living like a victim of life. Because I don't think the world has any use for more victims. I think we're replete with victims, and we need leaders. We need leaders. And that can be you. Now, what's that worth? Well, law of exchange. Right? Think about this. This is something that, again, I'll refer to Ralph Emerson. Something that Emerson talked about was that when it comes to you being compensated, that your pay will be in direct relation to the need or the demand for what you do. Now, we're talking about marketing, right? We're augmenting the demand. Okay? So that's what marketers do. So number one is the demand for what you do. Number two would be your ability to do it, to deliver it. Okay, sounds pretty simple so far. And number three would be the difficulty there would be in replacing you. Those three things, the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there would be in replacing you. Now, as you build your brand, as you build your influence in the online marketplace, not only are you increasing the demand for what you do. In this case, you offer an opportunity. You've got marketing courses. You do the things that set people free from the corporate rat race, let's say. Okay, great. So that demand is being increased via your marketing. Your ability to do it, your ability to deliver the value that you're here to deliver in the marketplace. Well, what have we been talking about this whole time? Developing habits of effectiveness, which make you better at stuff, right? Like the first time I went to the gym, I was not, I had the grace of a rhino. I mean, I practically hurt myself with this heavy weights and everything. And now, oh my goodness, I know the way of weightlifting. And so that is something that you get good at, right? You get better. So your ability to do it. Same with marketing, same with things that are much more subjective than, lifting heavy pieces of iron. Okay, but still, it's still valid, right? You brush your teeth with your right hand, I'm guessing. Even lefties typically brush their teeth with the right hand, which is an interesting phenomenon. But try using your other hand sometimes. See how good you hit those teeth with your other hand. Do that tonight. Do that tonight. I'm going to do that right after I shave. I am going to shave. But do that tonight. Brush your teeth with the opposite hand and see how you do. Okay, so the right hand, or whichever one you typically use, that's a, you've got a habit there, and it's better. The right hand is just better at that stuff, right? Same with a fork and knife. Switch sides with your fork and knife. Okay, so when you develop habits, you get good at stuff. Okay, so that's the second thing, your ability to deliver. And then the third thing is the difficulty there would be in replacing you. Now, are most people leaders or followers? Most people are followers. Okay, are most people victors or victims? Most people are victims, right? They're succumbing to their lot in life. How difficult is it to replace a real leader in the marketplace? Very difficult. Very difficult. See how important you are now? Not just to yourself and your internal purposes, but to the external purpose of affecting others positively in your time here that you've got. I mean, this is why you're here. You're here to have some benefit in the marketplace, to deliver. Okay? And when you do that diligently, not only do you get really good at it, but you have very, very little competition, and certainly no competition for you as an individual because of your unique talents and abilities. Nobody makes that YouTube video like you do. Nobody runs that podcast like you do, does the tweets like you do, the Instagram channel like you do. Okay, this is your unique flavor. And 7 billion people on the planet, some of them are going to gravitate towards you and not towards the other guy who does it a little bit different. Okay, 7 billion people, that's your marketplace. What an opportunity. My goodness. All we got to do is reach, but we're not going to reach if we're not focused on our purposes. And this was the main point, okay, that Albert Gray talked about. So you got the sales team. And I thought this was going to be a brief call because this was a very brief point, okay? If you want to increase production, focus on purpose. That's the main point of this whole conversation here today. If you want to increase production, and I think we all do, then focus or refocus on your purpose. And I'm here to tell you, you've got to have an internal and an external purpose, and they must be congruent. And if there's any question in your mind, and this is why I brought it up before, okay? If there's any question in your mind about the worthiness or the nobility of you actually living an abundant life, right? Like somehow that's not benefiting others, let's go ahead and get rid of that idea right now. Right now. They're building BMWs for somebody. For you, maybe. It's your decision, right? But is that something you need to apologize for? Again, it doesn't have to be a BMW. Get whatever you want, okay? But the point is, you're celebrating, or not, the craftsmanship of such and such product that you're looking to experience the ownership and experience of, right? So is that something you need to apologize for? Does that take away from somebody else? No. Thank goodness. Thank goodness there are people who are demonstrating success right now. And there are people right now who don't even know you exist, but they will. They will, because you reach into the marketplace and make the benefits known. Make the reality of the successful entrepreneur lifestyle. Make it known as you make yourself known in the marketplace, because it's a purposeful thing for you to do without apology and without second thought and without hesitation. It is a purposeful thing for you to do. Now that you know that, my goodness, what would hold anybody back? This sounds like a most noble pursuit. This sounds like a quest. I feel like King Arthur on the Holy Grail of Monty Python. Banging the coconuts together and riding to find the Grail. I mean, that's, let's get with it, right? My goodness, I haven't seen that movie in a while. I'm a big Monty Python fan. I might watch that tonight. But not until after I do my accounting. I've got to get this accounting done. But that being said, that's our main point here. Okay, so whether you're a team leader or you're just leading yourself at this time, get really focused on your purpose, right? Why are we here? Why are we doing this? We can go do anything. Why are we choosing to do this with our time? Because this is what we're trading our life for. This is it. Our life measured in time. Here's what we're doing. We're going to get good at this. And we've got a purpose to do that. And when we focus on that, my goodness, the how-to decisions, those are all easy to make. Now we can start developing habits of effectiveness, like Albert Gray talked about. So I hope you got some value out of this. What I'm going to do, can't believe I talked for almost an hour on this. Wow. Okay. Well, obviously I'm interested in this topic, and hopefully you are as well. I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions, comments. Hold on a second. Here we go. So if you guys would like to come out, you can go ahead and raise your hand by clicking the raise your hand button, which I think was the mute button or unmute button. And if you're on a phone, then *6 is the command to mute or unmute. And we do have our first caller. Here we go. Karen, you're live on the air. Hello, Karen.
Oh, hi. Good evening, everybody.
Hey, there she is. Where are you from, Karen?
All right. Well, it's more a comment than a question, John, because
Okay.
I do agree with you that the quality of life that you exhibit on a day-to-day basis is testament to the fact that what you're doing is working. But often I get more of a response that says, oh, so you're rich, so you're enjoying this kind of a lifestyle. I wish that could happen to me, but I can't do it. How do you answer to someone like that, who shows more of envy, for want of a better word, rather than admiration and wanting to know how you do what you do to be where you are?
Good question. Is this my friend Karen in Jamaica?
Yes.
Hey, Karen.
Morgan, yes.
Awesome. So here's what I do. Here's what I do. I put their attention on their belief that they can't and where they got that belief from.
Right.
So this whole idea of I'm not cause, I'm effect, that's really what we're talking. Like when we go to all the problems that we have or that people have or they assume, it comes down to them assigning cause somewhere else. You see this is a victim mindset that we're talking about here.
Right.
And which we can also say, okay, and people may not like hearing this, we could say it is gross chronic irresponsibility. Victims are irresponsible people. Irresponsible. I am not responsible for my results. I can't, right? That is victim talk right there.
Mm-hmm.
And it is everywhere you look in common society, right? Only special people, Karen, only special people can do stuff like that. And look, this is something that I've dealt with for a long time, having become successful myself. People putting a pedestal and saying, well, this is, of course you can, John, And again, Karen, this is why your success story and that of the newer marketer is so vital, because the newcomer or the guest may look and say, well, yeah, of course, John Lavenia, Jason Stone, Michael Forrest, special people, they're already successful. I can't do what they do. Well, I can put their attention on the fact, the glaringly obvious fact that I wasn't born like this.
Right.
So that's what is that? That's a statement of recapturing responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I couldn't either, Mr. and Mrs. Skeptic. I couldn't either. And for as long as I believed I couldn't, I didn't.
Right.
And then when I saw enough examples of people like me, finally, having success and everything, then I decided to be like me. Then I decided to be like those successful people who had come before me, because after all, they keep showing up in my life. And why do they keep showing up? Just like Albert Gray said, because that's what I was looking for, that's what I found. Well, guess what I was looking for? I was looking for success. Now, all of us have a drive towards survival and greater expression. Trees grow up, right? That's why they're surviving. They're reaching towards the sky. People, make progress until they stop making progress because it's been beaten out of them. The hope, the desires, the dreams, the purposes have been beaten out of them. And so if I can get in communication with somebody who wants to offer me a challenge like that, oh, that's an wide open door for me to just do a little counseling and say, my friend, who sold you that idea? You need to get a refund on that idea. That is bad. I mean, I grew up in the gutter. I got friends who are dead. They overdosed, right? Or they're in prison. So why me? Why did I make it out of the gutter? That's a good question. So you see, this whole idea of telling stories that can prove your point, kind of like a parable, right? You can get into a parable of, just something from your life or from one of the successful people that you're modeling here in the community. You can get into a story which disproves and disabuses the erroneous belief from that person who is instantly and automatically, without thought, disqualifying themselves. Because if they were thinking, then they would see, oh my goodness, we've got more similarities than we have differences, right? And in your case, you've got, and I don't know what, geographically or where these people are coming from that may offer you such a challenge, but I can tell you that all throughout the world there are, sections of poverty, and there's sections of abundance and all this. And so regardless of the geographic location that we're talking about, because I do hear this a lot from people who are outside of the United States, and other, places where commercialism seems, more obvious, like you might hear this, like perhaps in a farming community or something where it's, we're just chopping wood and carrying water and things like that. What do I have used for a BMW? Again, instantly disqualifying ourselves from the experiences we would want to have because people around here don't do that. So I think that may be a part of it. But the point is that you can use your stories however they relate. Like I already mentioned to you, the streets of New Jersey. I don't know if you've ever been to New Jersey or seen some of the cities there, urban decay and things like this. But okay, so that is something which would be a graphic picture that would instantly disprove that I was somehow special. When I got started on my path of self-discovery and self-actualization or whatever. So that's sort of a story, right? Which I already told on this call. Okay, a very brief version of it, but I think that right there takes care of such assumptions, because that's what all they are, is assumptions. And the first rule of business is assume nothing. Assume nothing. So we got to get people off of that right there. And then now they've at least got a shot, if they're but willing to go for what they want, which assumes they know what they want, which again is not a good assumption. So if you can get into communication with people about what they want and how there is really a light at the end of the tunnel, look at this example, look at that example, look at that example, and look at the humble beginnings. That's why your testimonial is so important. So important. People got to be able to relate. And you know what, Karen? I know this is a long answer, but there are people who will hear me and say, oh, I don't like that John Lavenia guy. He's, some Italian from New Jersey, and his hair is brown, and well, blah, 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 right? But Karen, Karen, she's great. I love Karen. Well, now the Karen, I hear about her. You see, now maybe this is a good thing. I don't care for that John Lavenia guy. But Karen, okay, fine. Go buy it from Karen then, please.
Okay.
All right. I hope that helps you out, my friend. Does that work for you?
Yeah, that's a good one for me, John. This is a good call, actually.
Very good. Well, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for coming out here. I don't see anybody else with their hand up. So last call. Anybody else want to come on out on the call and say hi? And any questions, comments, feedback, ideas? I did see quite a bit of talk in the chat room. Thank you all for your acknowledgement here. I'm glad you're getting value out of the words that are coming out of my mouth. Okay, last call. Anybody else? No, going once, going twice. We are done. Let me go ahead and wrap up Q&A. Okay, so with that, we are going to wrap up another thrilling Black Diamond call. I will see everybody on the wake-up call tomorrow with our friend Joel Straight, who is our regular Tuesday host. And, of course, in the meantime, see what you can do to apply what we've talked about here, right? What habits can you form that are wealth generation, income producing sort of habits, that are habits of effectiveness, that failures don't like to do, but that you're willing to learn and to do to the extent where you don't even have to think about it anymore. You're going to become the best at that, or your own unique expression of that. Okay, pick one thing. Don't pick 10 things. Not 10. Not 10. One. Start with one. Okay, no, we're not here to get overwhelmed and be miserable. We're here to have a great time and fulfill our purposes, which again are internal. They affect you unapologetically. Live the lifestyle you want. And external, they also enlighten and empower other people as well. Thanks again, my friends. I will see you next week. In the meantime, and I'll see you tomorrow as well. In the meantime, have a great night. You absolutely deserve it. And bye for now.